Talking to me, baby.
Hi there. All right,
Hey,
what are we doing?
fam. What is good, guys? Happy Sunday.
Sunday? What's Sunday?
Today is Sunday. Sunday.
You may not be watching this on a Sunday, but it's Sunday for us right now.
Sunday shall be known as International Rest Day, which we are breaking today because we're going to the gym in a minute.
Yep.
We took our rest day yesterday, but Sunday's typically International Rest Day.
So why did we take a rest day yesterday?
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
Sunday is also International Check-In Day. For all competitors that I know, it tends to be a Saturday or a Sunday. Sunday's a great day because it's like start of the week, end of the week.
Yep.
Some people do check-ins on random days of the week. I don't particularly like that. I love to start my week with checking in with all my progress updates. I just filmed a separate video all about that for you. And it's usually the day that we start a new training program, or we might start new macros or change some things. So, or set the things we're going to change, which we might change on Mondays. So
All sorts of things changing.
yeah, Sunday is also International Meal Prep Day.
Who decides these things?
I decided based on the fact that it's just what the majority of people in this
Gotcha.
this space tend to do.
So rest, check in, and prep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you set yourself up for a successful week. So happy International All Those Things Day. Today, though, Coach Bronson is here with me because we are talking about my training program. And this is his baby.
You're my baby.
I melt. I just melt. Oh my goodness, I wasn't even ready for that. So we promised you that we were going to share with you everything about my prep, everything that we're doing. So that is macros, that is food choices, that is check-ins and updates and mindset and all of that. And that is my training. So Coach is here to explain.
Let's break it down a little bit.
Where we're starting from and how we put together my training program.
So you traditionally, and by traditionally I mean for the past who knows how long, have been primarily doing traditional bodybuilding splits.
Yes.
You want to call it that? Right?
Yes. I called the training split I was doing for 2 years, the one that got me the one I worked up to my pro card and then continued working with my coach for my pro debut. I call it a bro split. It's the traditional bro split where you're splitting up and working on one body part each day, 6 days a week.
Yeah, one or two, but yeah, you kind of split things up into push, pull, upper, lower, front, back, sideways, whatever, right? You break things up.
Yeah, but even more so than that. It was
Right,
true bro
yeah,
because it was
right.
like shoulder day, chest day,
Right.
you know, quad day, hamstring day, like literal body part. Yeah.
So there's a couple things with that, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, that works. Obviously, it works. There's a couple things with that approach that a lot of people get kind of stuck in a trap. Okay, that is,
or a rut.
Or a rut. That's a better way to say it. A rut. You get stuck in a rut. So one of those things is it's all isolation. So
it's not all isolation exercises.
There's a lot of it because you're focusing on a specific muscle. You're intentionally taking other muscles out of it because you don't want them engaged. So if I'm specifically focusing on developing a muscle, I don't want the other muscles working. I'm trying to make that one muscle do all the work, okay? Right. Which isn't necessarily bad. Again, remember we're talking about bodybuilding. The goal is to grow size, grow symmetry, and that kind of stuff. So you need some of that.
And it's very specific to aesthetics. So it is not about overall strength. It's not about performance.
Right.
It is about
presentation.
Specific body parts, because each bodybuilder is a little different and bringing different genetics or backgrounds to the mix. So you might come into it and you have a track star type body and you have to minimize certain body parts and you have to bring up others. Yeah. So that's what it's designed to do.
So that's one thing. And the reason I say rut is because you get stuck into doing that and you can forget that there's other aspects, particularly if we're looking at being able to do bodybuilding and maintain health and maintain function, because we don't want you to do bodybuilding. And I've worked with many bodybuilders. I know many bodybuilders who spend so much time doing bodybuilding having a bodybuilding focus, that they actually create deficiencies, imbalances, and muscle inactivation that then causes them injury and pain and all sorts of other issues.
Yeah.
So it's about specificity. When you over specify or exclusively specify, you leave other things on the table that can cause you problems down the road.
And let's talk about how many bodybuilders you guys have seen who don't have any mobility, no flexibility,
right.
struggle to, I mean, they would struggle to sit on the floor and put their shoes on.
Right.
You know, it's not very functional. I mean, if you've seen the big guys, you see them walking around, they look uncomfortable.
Right, and it's really, I'm not saying that any of this is wrong, it's really where do you want to go? And if you have a goal of looking good on stage, but at the same time being able to come back from that and be functional and live your life and enjoy your life, then there's got to be some inclusion of other things. So Absolutely. That's one of the things that we're addressing.
And mentally too, you can get married to what you're doing, and that's never good. I mean, I just like to say in life in general, if you're too attached to something, you probably need to change something. Because it's never healthy to be so attached to something. And I'm definitely guilty of that with my prior training split. It was very awkward, very odd for me to do anything outside of what I was used to doing.
We can talk about that because you're going through some of that.
Yeah, there's some rigidity there that happens. For sure.
So that's one thing, and that is specification. The other thing that you get when you specify is you leave potential on the table. Okay? Because you're focusing so much on one aspect that you tend to forget, you get stuck in that rut of realizing that there are other things you can do to help benefit your progress indirectly. Okay? And one of those things, this is something that you are definitely experiencing this last week, is going heavy versus going long. Right? So you're used to doing high reps, moderate to lower weight, and focusing on getting the reps, like muscle contraction, like you're focusing on all these things. Yeah. But, you said this week, you've never done a 1 rep max.
Never. I never once in my 6 years of training have ever done a 1 rep max.
Right. So the
I've
benefit.
Never found my 1 rep.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So one of the things that we'll be doing in her program initially for the first, we talked about 8 to 12 weeks, whatever that's going to be. We're going to be doing a lot more strength training. Okay, which is a different kind of hypertrophy. Do you want to get into do we want to go over the different a little bit? I'll just say there's 2 different ways you can build muscle. There's building muscle for strength, and there's building muscle for size.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So she's been, the last 6 years have been basically building muscle for size and shape and symmetry, and not specifically for strength. Have there been strength gains? Yes, because there is an overlap between the two.
Yeah.
But one is more specific for that purpose than the other.
Yes.
So we're going to switch her over for the first 8 to 12 weeks of doing things much more strength focused, because here's the reason why. When you build strength, you build overall muscle capacity. Okay? So you're actually building fibers. So when you build strength, you're adding fibers to the mix, right? If I start now, I'll just use an example right now. All of her muscles have 5 fibers. Right? 5 muscle fibers in all her muscles. This isn't specific. This is just a generalization. Okay? What she's been doing for the past 6 years has been trying to make each of those fibers bigger. So within each fiber, she's trying to make them bigger. Okay? That's fantastic. That's great. There's a certain level of capacity that you reach. It's just not going to get any bigger. Right? So what you do then is you then build for strength, which now has 5 more fibers. So now you have 10 fibers that when you make them all bigger, now you get a better result when you're going for size hypertrophy versus strength. So your size will actually increase because you're adding to what can get big. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Right? Sense. So we're going to build a base of strength, try to increase your muscle fibers over the next 8 to 12 weeks. Get you doing some heavy stuff. Get you doing some different stuff. So variations. You're not just going to squat. You're going to box squat and wide stance squat and sumo deadlift and all sorts of other kind of stuff.
That's the kind of thing that makes me excited, because even though I was married to my old split, I got bored sometimes doing the same movements. Right. And I love variations on the foundational movements.
Yeah. Because we want function, we want strength, right? As you get to where we increase your volume, because that's going to change as well, we're going to get to higher reps, more volume. You're going to be doing a lot of volume. If you don't have the strength and the mechanics, when you get to the higher volume stuff, you're going to break down, and that's just going to not be a good thing.
Now, and maybe explain to them that it's not all 1 rep maxes all the time.
No, not at all.
You know, where there are still higher rep sets and things within my program.
Right. So to get a little more specific about how we're doing this, the daily template, we're going to go to the daily template. So we're doing what we call max effort. So heavy lifting on Monday and Tuesday, heavy lower on Monday, heavy upper on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, well, we'll say day 3. Day 3, because it may not be like, for instance, today we're on.
Right. So first, let's just mention, you said, why are we taking a rest day?
Right.
So he has me right now, we're on a 5-day split.
Yep.
The thing about the 6-day split I was on before, there would be days where my energy was in the tank, or I had a highly stressful day, or there was something going on where training would not be ideal. So I would take a day, and then I would have to combine days on another day to try to get everything in, which was fine when I was on 6 days because it was so individual that it was easy to combine days. But 5 days is a lot more flexible in that we're not saying when my rest days have to be. We're not saying we're going to do 5 days in a row and then take 2 days off on Saturday and Sunday. It can be, if I need it on Tuesday, I'll take it on Tuesday. If I need it on Friday, you know, and then we'll just take that day and then get right back to the next day.
And the other thing too is because we're changing your stimulus, you're not doing the same type of stuff. So her central nervous system is getting impacted a completely different way than it's ever been impacted before. So we don't want to do that and maintain or increase the volume at the same time, right? So we actually want to drop it down. We're making a change, get you adapted to that, and then we can start building the volume as we go.
Okay, right. That makes sense to me.
So and we can talk about that maybe at another time, how this feels completely different than what you're used to. You finish a workout and she's like, "Do we just do anything?" Like what the
depending on the day, because tell them what else we have thrown in there. So what's on day 3?
Yeah, so day 3, so max effort or heavy legs or heavy lower, heavy upper, then general physical preparedness, GPP, which she thought I made up, but I didn't. It's actually an exercise science thing. And that is essentially, to think about it as accessory or functional movement. So we've got Turkish get-ups, we've got farmer's carries, we got things that are focused on stability, coordination, accuracy of movement, core activation, things like that that are not specifically all about I'm going to get big and strong. It's more about how can I use my body as a whole unit to do work.
And I'm loving those days. Yeah. That is very different than
it's
what I
much
had.
Lower key, but it's still a lot of work. Like
it's no, you feel it. You feel it more. It feels very athletic is the best way that I can describe it. Yeah. It's like an athlete after a practice. You know, practicing your sport or whatever. You feel like you got a full body workout, but it was nothing like bodybuilding training at all. Not like I got a full body workout because I did a pump on my biceps and triceps and, you know, every different body part. It's utilizing your whole body, a lot of core, and you walk away, you're sweating. Heart rate definitely gets up, more so than it did when I was just bodybuilding. And I just walk away feeling like I put in work and I feel good. It's not like that exhaustion.
Yeah, it doesn't beat you down.
Yeah, it's not HIIT training. We're not doing high intensity interval training.
So that's day 3, and then day 4 and day 5 are what we call dynamic effort.
I was a little afraid
lower
of this.
And upper. And dynamic effort basically is higher rep, but I should say more volume than max effort because you're not maxing, you're not going super heavy.
Right.
It's more about trying to build speed into your movement. So speed and control. It's a little bit explosive. Movement. It's a little bit more about bar speed and things like that. How quickly can you move from point A to point B? Because here's the thing, bodybuilders in particular focus so much on the mind-muscle connection. It's all about take your time, feel the muscle, activate, contract, all that kind of stuff, right?
I love that shit.
And that is fantastic, but here's the deal. You get higher muscle fiber engagement when you move fast, okay? And it doesn't take as much thought. It's a really cool dynamic because you're moving fast, your muscles, your body is saying, I need to get from point A to point B. I need as many resources as possible to make this movement happen because you're trying to do it as quickly as possible.
So all my folks who are familiar with the NASM personal training certification, this is where they talk about strength power. It's like that number 5.
That's very much dynamic effort, strength, power. Very much that's what.
Now this is brand new to me. This is something I've never done anything like this before.
Right. So we did some the other day. Speed box squats, speed deadlifts, like different things.
Yeah.
It's lower rep. It's moderate weight, and this is how I described it. It shouldn't feel heavy. It should feel hard to move quickly.
It was a perfect way to describe it.
Right, it's
really
a very different feeling to try to work in that range.
But you feel like a badass.
You do. You get in there like rah! Yeah. So that's kind of how we're doing it. So 5-day split. We can mix and move those days around. However, every day has a main lift and main 1 or 2 lifts, and then some accessory additional work that may be hypertrophy, maybe just accessory.
So those last 2 days are, once again, lower upper or upper lower, whichever way we have that. So we have essentially 4
lifting days.
4 lifting days, as I would have considered it before. 2 uppers, 2 lowers, and then we have our functional day.
And then 2 days of rest.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the breakdown. That's the basics.
We did dynamic lower yesterday. No, 2 days ago.
The day before, and then we're doing dynamic upper today.
Right. So we took our rest day yesterday.
Yep.
And today we're doing our dynamic upper. And then I suppose we'll see how
it goes.
Feeling.
Schedules change tomorrow too, for me at least. Right. So that's a whole nother, we have no idea.
So once again, this is great for if you really want to go hard, but you're afraid to, like, I don't know if my schedule is going to allow me to do X number of days, because once again, if let's say 1 week, I need 3 days of rest. Yeah. We just take the day and we just keep trucking. Like, we're not looking at it like this is a 7-day week.
Right. And then the other thing too is this really is designed, if you needed to or wanted to, you could do all 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
Because the type of work that you're doing is different, is targeted at different things. Even though you're doing 2 uppers and 2 lowers, it's different types of work. It's a different stimulus.
Right.
You can still do them all within a 5-day period.
Yeah, I was really surprised after our first lower day that I was capable of going in and doing a heavy upper the next day, which is amazing, because over the last year I've struggled with recovery. I got COVID at the end of 2020. It took me 6 months to get my strength back after that, and it has been a battle ever since with recovery and allowing my body, making sure my body is recovered enough to go back and put in the kind of work that I need to do. I still don't really feel that I'm back to where I was in 2020 before I got COVID. I just felt like I was just...
You're still a beast.
Moving it out.
She's still a beast.
He's awakening my inner power lifter.
She doesn't know it, but she really enjoys lifting heavy.
He's really trying to make me into a power lifter.
That's after.
We will see.
You got some shows this year, then
we got shows first.
We got shows first.
So for one more thing on the training, how much cardio am I doing right now, Coach Bronson?
None.
I'm a happy girl because I'm not doing any cardio right now. Well, that's actually kind of a lie, because I do love a daily walk, and I've been...
that's dead.
I have not been doing my daily walks lately because it's freezing up here. But it's something for my mental health that's really important to me. So I may be incorporating some of that. But the important thing here, and for anyone on prep, the really important thing is that any cardio you do, and I mean anything that's cardio, walking, running, biking, your favorite Zumba class, HIIT style, those boot camp HIIT style classes, anything like that, I would consider cardio. It's really important that you track exactly how much you're doing in your off season or at the beginning of prep, because if you don't realize that you're doing more cardio than you thought you were doing, when you're trying to cut, you may not realize why you're not making progress. And the fact is, if you start with too much cardio at the beginning, you're not gonna have a lot of leeway to work with later. So that's the reason why we have not programmed any cardio into my program. And when I do my daily walk or whatever, I'm tracking my total steps for the day. I'm tracking what I did week to week, so I write it down if I did it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how low impact it is. It is
right.
Burning calories. It's more activity. And when you start cutting calories, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your NEAT, is going to decrease as well. You don't notice it, but your body can't handle as much, so it just starts slowing itself down. Like, you fidget less, you move around less. So it's really important to just track all your activity.
Yeah, and just remember when you are tracking your activity to take out what you would have burned in that time anyways. So if your BMR is X number...
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like tracking it in terms of, don't look at your activity tracker for calories burned. That's not what I'm talking about. And we'll probably have to do a whole separate video on that. But those trackers are liars. So don't look at the calorie burn. I track the number of steps I took each day. So if I take a walk one day and I don't take a walk another day, I can see. Oh,
I see what you're saying.
Exactly
so just from what you're
impacting.
doing perspective. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because later on down the road, I may say, well, now we're doing 30 minutes of cardio. Why is it not helping? Oh, because
you were already doing
you're doing the exact same amount of activity you were doing before.
Gotcha.
So that's what I mean. It's just writing. It could be journaling in a notebook.
Gotcha.
But just make note of what you're doing. So there's no surprises later. The difference with prep versus any other athlete in any other sport is that competition prep for bodybuilders is a game of dialing in every single metric and dynamic that you can think of, because we are going to have to manipulate everything down so closely to get to insane levels of body fat, insane levels of muscle mass while dropping body fat, that nothing can be overlooked.
And this is one of the reasons why doing this ketogenically simplifies the process a little bit. Because as much as you may think taking out one macronutrient from the equation won't make that much of a difference, it actually does.
Yeah.
Every little thing that you can take out from stuff you have to think about makes a huge difference.
Well, especially, and we'll talk about it in other videos, but especially carbs, because carbs manipulate your water weight more than anything else. So eliminating that, and I will say from every prep that I've done, eliminating that variable from the beginning, I never have to question the water fluctuations in my weight.
Yeah, but it also, I mean, we could talk about this again in another one, but it affects recovery. It affects so many other things.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
All right, so now you know a little bit more about how we're starting my prep. And we're saying we're starting my prep, but really, I don't have a lot to lose. So we have the luxury of being able to do a very long prep. So this period of time, we're kind of playing with things.
Baselining. We're getting some strength baselines. We're going to be doing, she's doing more 1 rep maxes, more testing of her strength where she's at, which will give me, will give us ideas on percentages to use when you do get to other things. You know, you should be able to do 60% for this number of reps, like things like that. Yeah. So that we're going to kind of get all those numbers and go from there.
And we're very, very small macro changes right now, nothing major. So, you know, I get to really enjoy the training right now, I think.
She also has a pretty cool partner.
It helps. Doesn't hurt. I mean, ladies, come on.
Hey now.
All right, y'all. That's it for this week. We'll check in next week, let you know how everything's going.
Peace out. Oh, I gotta pee again.